Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. Today we're back on the second update 1.101 dev server, and it's time to have a look at the French Jaguar. This is the Jaguar A, and as you can see, it's a battle rating 10.0, rank 6, and it comes after the 1.1.2ⁿᵈ. So if you're interested in getting the Jaguar A, this would be the time to research the 1.1.2ⁿᵈ to get it ready to be able to efficiently research this behemoth. So, the Jaguar A, being the French version of the Jaguar, it has access to two 30mm defers that you can find here, 5.53s. They're incredibly powerful, very similar to the Aidens, which we see on the British version of the Jaguar, and even the engines are exactly the same. You can see they are Mark 102 adores, 30 or 3090 kgf, goddamn 30,000 kgf, that would be a bit worrying, wouldn't it? And everything else, as usual, is made out of fuel. This thing also has no armor protection either. I'm pretty sure there's going to be a little bit of an armor model in this. If not, that would be kind of weird. And then if we have a look at the modifications, the main thing when it comes to Jaguar A is it has all of the nice belts as well. Being able to pen 47mm with those ground belts is going to be really nice. But the main difference between the Jaguar A that you see here and then the British Jaguar, the GR1, is the secondary loadouts. They are completely different, and I would definitely say in favor of the Jaguar A. So the Jaguar A has access to different types of rockets, different types of bombs, and also different types of missiles. It has access to Matra Magics. Now, if you don't know what Matra Magics are, you can have a look at other machines which use these things, such as the Mirage, and you can see how good these things are. They have a 30G overload, so once they're locked on, it's very hard to get them off, and also they have a launch range of 10 kilometers and a lock-on range of 5.5. They are IR guided, so these are not any of the new ones, such as the semi-active homing ones. Instead, these are just standard IR, but still 30 Gs of maximum overload is incredibly good. Now, it's very similar to the British one, where these take two pylons, as you can see. So if you do bring along the air-to-airs, then you are cutting your ground ordnance out. So you can either get 108 SNEBs, which are the Type 23 ones. They pen 300. You can get 144 SNEBs, and these ones actually look really cool. They come in these like little rocket pods you can see here. The top pops off and then they fire through, and once again this thing also has a ballistic computer. If you want to actually see, I'll show you the ballistic computer here. This thing also has varying ranges of bombs. The bombs are actually, even though they're different in size, they, explosive mass-wise, are very similar to the British ones. And then it also has some really interesting rockets on board as well. So let's just turn on the ballistic computer. There we go. We can have a go with this and show you how it all works. So let's take off. And as you can see, the big chunky rocket things definitely do slow you down, or the rocket pods. And the one thing that I think the Jaguar is going to struggle with when you're fully laden, it's going to handle like a bus. So that's a bit of a problem. But at least right now it doesn't matter too much. So afterburner on. This plane seems to have exactly the same flight model as the Jaguar in the British tree, so it has that same issue where it wants to tilt to the left constantly, so watch out for that. Hopefully that is fixed by the time it goes out. But you can see it has the ballistic computer for the rockets, so you can guide them in if you want to. It is a little bit weird right now where it doesn't always line up with where they go, but you can see with these rockets they are incredibly powerful, and this is what they look like when the cone is popped off. Now there is another rocket which I would also like to demonstrate, which is kind of just insane when I've actually looked into it. So obviously, as I said, the bombs, it has 400 kilo bombs, but these bombs have 167 kilos of explosive mass, which is massive. And then you have 250 kilo bombs. You can either bring 8 of the big ones or 11 of the small ones. And then you have these two, right? So you have multi-darts, and then you have ECCs. Now ECCs, you get 16 of them, and they have 500 pen, 2.8k explosive mass. So these are incredibly powerful. But the multi-darts, these pen 80 millimeters, and they also have a maximum speed of 1400 meters per second. I have no idea what these are designed for, but it looks like, to me, if they're going 1400 meters per second, they are designed for precision. I don't know whether they're... I'm guessing they're designed to precisely hit targets on the ground, especially with the ballistic computer. By the way, when it comes to the cockpit, it's exactly the same as the English one. You can see it's even got all of the same English writing and stuff, so, or the British one, I should say. So it seems like they just copied over the cockpit, which is fine. But you can see these interesting pods that this thing has when it comes to these rockets. And I'll show you, they kind of have like a two-stage thing going on. So you can see the ballistic computer going a little bit crazy. So you fire them and see if you see anything weird. Do you see? It's as if they have like a secondary fire or a secondary thrust on them. Now, I don't know whether this is how they're supposed to be. I don't know whether, you know, they're supposed to be like that, but at least on the dev server now, that's what they are. And I've never seen anything like this in game, and they just really excite me, because it's another weapon that we have in game which maybe we could use in a weird way. Like, these are incredibly precise. Now, obviously, I'm a terrible aimer, so, you know. Oh, but come on, ballistic computer, calm down, would you? God, we're going a little bit crazy with this, right? I don't think it's actually worked it out how to deal with these at the moment because of the like the secondary like oomph on them. But these should be, once the ballistic computer chills, really effective at being incredibly accurate, because you know they have a lot less drop than a lot of other rockets out there because they're going so fast. 1400 meters per second is insane for something which is similar to this. So you can see... Oh, we missed. Ah, well. I gave it a go. But you can understand what I'm talking about, right? Where there seems to be a weird two-stage thing going on. I don't know whether it's supposed to be like this. I don't know whether, you know, it's supposed to overall look like that. But it definitely is interesting that we have these new multi-dart things, whatever they are. And obviously, as I said, you can take the magics along with everything else. You just have to reduce your secondary armaments, which isn't a bad thing, you know. Also, when it comes to these bombs, they drop in sets of 2s and they work their way inwards. So the 2 outer ones on either side, they drop first, then the ones in the center, well, the ones next to them drop, and then the ones in the center drop. So once again, the same as the British one, where they drop in pairs of 2, which is pretty cool, if I'm honest. So yeah, it's looking like a really fun little vehicle. It's also looking like it is better than the British one, just by armament's sake. So, oh, why does it... Let's just sort this out. So we want magics, and then we want the big bombs, I believe. There we go. Yeah, it doesn't have any like semi-active radar missiles, but it does have a very nice bomb load. It does have some really interesting rockets, and even if you don't want to use like the really fast rockets, you can just use the snebs instead, which will be highly effective as well. Like this vehicle is really turning out to be something special when it comes to its secondary armaments. There you go. You can see that they drop in sets of 2. And that is going to do a ton of damage. Let's just turn off the seeker. It's nice to see the Jaguar finally in game. Whether it actually has a place in the meta of Air Realistic is soon to be seen. but I think it definitely has a little bit of place in ground realistic. This isn't a Q5 issue, where if you've played or looked at the Q5 on the dev server, it really struggles when it comes to its secondary armaments. It doesn't have any missiles, has very limited bomb load and very limited rocket load, whereas if you look at something like the Seppercat right here, you do have access to missiles, you do have access to a lot of bombs, and you do have access to a lot of rockets. I would say out of all of the vehicles that they've put in for this like 1.0 CAS area, so stuff such as the Su-7 and, as I said, the Jaguar and the Q5, the Jaguar is looking like the one which is going to be the most competitive because of the fact that it has access to some crazy missiles, especially this one. The AIM-9 that the British Jaguar gets is still pretty cool, but they are not these, are they? They're not 30G, you know, point-and-click crazy machines. So, if we're talking about meta machines, if we're talking about machines which have the most chance of being useful, this one out of the four which have found themselves in the game are definitely going to be there. You know, they're definitely, this one, if one of them is going to have a chance, it's going to be this one. Because the Su-7, yes, it has a lot of speed behind it, which is always nice, it has a lot of acceleration, but it has no air-to-airs, and it's also huge, so hitting it is not exactly hard to do. The next thing is when it comes to Q5, lack of air-to-airs, lack of even secondary armaments, which makes it worth it as a CAS plane. So, for me, I'm happy to see the Jaguar, because, well, the other offerings, if we're honest, weren't exactly the best. And since the French get the better one, well, you know, maybe later on we'll see some interesting things for the Brit-bonger one. Alright, never mind. I'm guessing it got stuck between two targets there. I hope they fix the flight model on this. That is still a bit of an issue that this has. And I also hope they fix, well, I'm not sure if it's even a fix, but I hope a little bit of armor does get added to this, just so in ground realistic, you have a chance at getting near the battlefield. Because if you don't, you're just going to get one-tapped by various different things which are around the place. It is a beautiful aircraft. I'm very happy to see it in War Thunder, and I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. I'd like to thank Ambrosius McClellan, B. Young, Battling Bacon, Blackie, Chris Giltnane, Conte Baraka, Daniel Stanton, Elove Goat, Jay Wilt, Martinez, Trigger Hippie, Universe, Eugens Terry, and also I'm Devilish and Samuel Slick for supporting the channel.